Following the market panic caused by 10-year-old Bitcoins moving on-chain, the market has responded with overwhelming fear and anxiety as the Bitcoin price has tumbled nearly 7% so far today. This confirms the post-halving correction and post-halving hangover theories. In today's episode, we'll break down the best places to buy back into the market in preparation for Bitcoin's next bull run on Breaking Bitcoin today. Welcome back to Breaking Bitcoin. We are live every day at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is your daily source for everything cryptocurrency markets and personal finance. I'm Justin Wise, host of the show, lead analyst at crackingcryptocurrency.com. Hopefully you guys are doing absolutely fantastic today. We've got an incredible show for you. There's so much to talk about. Update on yesterday. Before we begin, if you guys want to support the show, make sure to subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the bell icon. That's the only way you can get notified when we go live. Smash a like on today's video. That boosts us up in the rankings, lets people know that we're here broadcasting this information at a time when it's more important that people get information either before. Like goal today is 50. I know that we can do it. If you are tired of watching price from the sidelines, trading with your gut, or being disappointed by the latest calls from crypto Twitter, or Telegram, because they always get it wrong. There's never been a better time to join our community of traders and begin building your own objective, data-driven strategy. Take advantage of our community and one-on-one mentoring, our premium indicator suite, all of the stuff that we're constantly putting out, everything designed to help you build your strategy and take the guesswork out of trading. You can find all the information at premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com or click the link in the description below. All right, like I said, so much to talk about. Hopefully you guys are doing fantastic. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. The moderators will bring my attention to them as we move forward later on in the show. We'll see who we can get on the show so we can discuss some of the information. So let's get right into it and break everything down. All right, here we are with price. Before we get into price, obviously we know it's a down day in the market. We'll be looking at profit targets and where we should be buying back in here in just a second. But before we do that, all right, here we go. A little bit of an update. Obviously, I could have pulled up all the kind of tweets like I did yesterday from the individuals that are more knowledgeable, but this daily hodl article pretty much summarizes it all well and only requires me to pull up one piece of information to show you guys. So more information on yesterday's coin movements. So obviously yesterday, 50 BTC that were mined in February of 2009 moved on chain. We've got a little bit more. We talked about this yesterday. So obviously we talked about this yesterday during the show, and we put out that Breaking Bitcoin Bits episode last night. So if you would like a summary of what happened yesterday and a good acknowledgement of A, this is no reason to panic, B, there is no proof that this is Satoshi, and C, it's almost certainly not Craig Wright. Furthermore, Craig Wright is not Satoshi. That information is in that video that was put out last night. The Breaking Bitcoin Bits, did Satoshi just move Bitcoin? You can also, of course, check out yesterday's stream. It was a really, really good one. Now, of the 50 Bitcoin that moved on chain, 40 of those 50 have been sent to a legacy address, while 10 of them have been sent to a known mixer address, right? For those of you who are unaware, a mixer is best practice for Bitcoin security. And what it does is it mixes your UTXO split with the UTXO splits of other individuals. And this helps allow for better anonymity and privacy when transacting on chain, when moving Bitcoins around. And I consider it a good practice. I consider it best practice. CoinJoin is best practice. Blending your coins, mixing your coins, splitting up your UTXO set is best practice for Bitcoin security. And some of the funds have ended up on Coinbase. A very small amount, I think it was 0.3 BTC have ended up on Coinbase. So if this individual is an OG that has been watching Cracking Crypto and has decided to start trading, he's not trading with very small funds, which is also, by the way, a very good move when you were first beginning trading. Start off with small capital, verify that you have a trading strategy before you begin incrementing your risk. Let's see if there's any more information in here. Yeah, here's a quote from Chainalysis saying we are still looking into it, but appears that 40 Bitcoin went to a legacy address and remains unspent, and 10 BTC appears to have gone into a mixer. It does look like some of the money ended up at Coinbase. And here is from Glassnodes. According to our information, minor amounts of this Bitcoin transaction have moved into Coinbase, not 0.004 BTC, and coin payments net, not 0.003 BTC. So about not 0.007 BTC in total. So not a large amount. And then, of course, we covered Jimmy Song's Medium article yesterday, which was very good and explained this in pretty good detail. It was a good overview of the Satoshi. And again, we went over this, so guys, just check out the video from last night. Furthermore, speaking of Craig Wright, statement from Craig Wright here. Listen, I will give the man his due. This is a pretty good summary and a pretty good statement, and also doesn't really pin him down, because there was a lot of thoughts, coming out from, Bitcoiners that, oh, this is a certain gotcha for Craig Wright. And it still might be. Again, firmly in the camp that Craig Wright is not Satoshi. And we can see that the errors of BSV and the way that chain is going. The way of Bitcoin XT and the way of BCH and Bitcoin Unlimited. But he has come out and stated that the address was not his and that he did not move the coins, right? And also, again, to his credit, he did confirm that there were many individuals mining Bitcoin even in February 2009. So this could have been anyone, right? Some highlights of these. And again, where I say he kind of, does his best to avoid the gotchas is right in this paragraph where he states that the list of Bitcoin addresses from the filings with the court was not intended to be a representation of he uses my Bitcoin holdings, but this was compiled as an exhaustive record of addresses that would most likely incorporate funds that the Tulip Trust would have. Okay, so pretty good. Whoa, hey, whoa. I never said this, right? I really meant this. And then here we go. He says, while I would not opt to speculate on the origins of these coins or the parties involved in the transactions, I would be remiss not to note that despite Bitcoin being in its relative infancy in February of 2009, it still attracted a number of people from computer science and cryptography circles, many of whom contributed their computing power to the network and subsequently earned block rewards, even if they were only active for a short period of time. So again, just keeping it with my previous sentiment that we don't know this is Satoshi. It's probably not Satoshi. It's most likely not Satoshi. And B, it really doesn't matter, right? Some Bitcoin OG found a hard drive or just decided to move Bitcoin. Or if they're using the Bitcoin Core implementation, remember that modern software implements the LIFO protocol, meaning last in, first out. So it's possible that this person has been active all along, and it's just now that his wallet software got to actually spending this UTXO split. Completely possible. All right, with that being said, I'll give you guys a quick update on France. Of course, this is an update on our story previously about France moving into CBDCs and digital ledgers. Now, they claim in this article to have successfully tested this digital payment system with the investment banking giant Societe Generale, which issued bonds as security tokens on their network, and then they were settled in digital euros. So again, France moving very, very quickly with this. Countries around the world moving very quickly with this concept of a digital currency. China, of course, getting, just like we've talked about this before. Everybody took crypto seriously, but with the Libra project, that really put nations around the world on alert to begin radically improving and implementing some form of digital system. It is a logical progression forward for them. It allows them to outlaw physical cash, which is what a central planner would want anyways. If you were a central planner, you want as few, ideally none, transactions that are not trackable by you to be done. This is obviously from the government's perspective to reduce crime and have a bird's eye view on everything, and also ensure adequate taxation. And this in theory would help central bank planners with liquidity processing. But again, the reasons why make sense, but the direct effects on human liberty and freedom are very well known, right? The Bitcoin solution is to decentralize everything, not everything, but to decentralize the monetary system. And it is Bitcoin's economic properties and monetary properties that allow it to be such a good form of money, good unit of account, a good store of value. And price is a tertiary factor, right? What will drive Bitcoin adoption is what prevents the ability of governments and centralized powers and planners around the world to utilize the currency of Bitcoin, to utilize the network of Bitcoin like they utilize the fiat system, right? And again, Tone Vays has a really good presentation on this where he talks about Cyprus and Greece and what's currently going on and market panics and what happened in Germany following World War I. These are all failures of the fiat system. These are all Zimbabwe. These are all failures of hyperinflation, and they're not localized to these places. They are the worst aspect of what can happen, and they're not worth it. Because savers are not rewarded. We have built a society that does not economically reward forward thinkers and savers. You need to reward savers, and this is my big problem with modern monetary theory, is that it does not reward savers. It wants all of the money flowing around and being applied. However, I should be able to store my value, and at this stage in human evolution, we should be able to create a system where value can be transferred across time and space securely and be able to roughly accrue its same purchasing power, if not greater. So savers should be rewarded, planners should be rewarded, businesses should be rewarded for saving in advance. That allows them to take better care of their employees, and it allows companies to prosper even during economic downtimes without having to run to the government for stimulus, which ultimately just ends up being taxation on the citizen that is postponed into the future, right? So the current burden on future generations yet to be born is staggering. Right? So every time we print money, we are disenfranchising ourselves and we are disenfranchising future generations. And as a father, my goal on this planet is to set my children up for success and not to put albatrosses around their necks, not to put yokes on them, not to make their path forward in life, their economic path, their path to economic prosperity more difficult. My job is to give them the means and the ability to have success. And similarly for future generations of my family. And also because I give a damn, the rest of society at large. And by participating in a fair and sound monetary system, I am allowed to do that at no cost to myself. Simply by supporting the Bitcoin network and being against the fiat system, I support that movement forward, which I think is obviously the next logical step in human and societal evolution. All right, moving on. Let's talk about price. Interesting occurrences going on today. Fairly simple today. I want to make sure that I cover everything. There's a lot to talk about. So let me go down in order of importance. My notes. Okay, so Bitcoin here, we have something fairly simple to see. We have a breakdown of the initiator of the breaking Bitcoin system. The initiator has been breached. We have closed below it, and therefore we have flipped the trend to the bearish momentum. This moves a dynamic level of resistance up, or this moves our invalidation level up to the mid 10,100s, 10,165 on the Bitstamp chart. As of the time of this recording, that number will dynamically change, but not drastically as we progress forward with price action. So we would need to see a rally all the way back up to 10,165 to be flipping the trend to the long side. Now, what is interesting is that on the daily time frame, the previous movement that we had of this fashion was a fake out. However, I do want to point out a very interesting piece of chart literature here. If we look at the Heikin-Ashi trend, which is HLC4, roughly speaking, it's not quite OHLC4, but it really is a unique calculation for Heikin-Ashi. But it does smooth out price, and it's really good for spotting trends. The Heikin-Ashi trend never breached the breaking Bitcoin initiator. Never, ever, ever. It has done so today. It has done so today. So this represents, in conjunction with the kind of topping and distributive pattern that we've been talking about for the last few weeks, this does represent a breakdown of this range and, in my opinion, lower prices moving forward. All right. Daily Minx is also going to be signaling for a sell. I was not actually expecting to see a sell signal from Minx until tomorrow's daily close, but we are actually getting a sell signal from Minx on today's daily close. Parallax also confirming the down movements. Chaikin money flow. This is not Chaikin money flow, actually. This is dynamic money flow, which is a good indicator. I've talked about this one before. Heading downwards as well. The only thing that's not quite agreeing is going to be WAE with falling volatility. But again, this is primed for a good setup here. Now, let's look at Quadriga ATR, and let's look at what volatility would be moving us toward as take profit targets. Now, earlier this morning when I published my market report and talked about the short that I'm currently in, that I've had the premium members in, we were talking about the $8,700 price range. Currently, we're talking about the $8,400 price range, which is good confluence with the next chart that I'm about to show you, which is good to see. So I'm expecting daily close to be roughly right around these price levels. We're going to see some volatility here. We have had a big sell-off. We've already seen a little mini correction. Price is likely to consolidate and wobble here a little bit. Ultimately, I think the largest move of the day has been done and will progress and evolve over the next few weeks. But initial take profit targets of around the $8,400 to $8,500 range, possibly as high as $8,600, possibly as low as $8,400, an ultimate target of around $7,200. Now, I do think that we have the potential to get lower than that. Of course, the accumulation range or the fair market value range, which I think would be the likely support for Bitcoin's price, would be around the $6,000 to $7,000 range. That's the yellow box territory on the volume profile analysis chart. We've talked about that one before. We talk about that one quite a bit. This is the weekly chart of Bitcoin. So the point of control, or the highest traded level of price, is going to be around 6,400. And again, that current support level, that long-term support level, stretches from 6 to 6,800. Let's just call it 7,000. Now, we might not get down that low. This might not be that drastic of a sell-off. I do not expect to see price below 6,000 prior to a bull run that is going to happen, or I expect to happen, but good levels to keep in mind. Now let's get back to the daily chart and keep that in mind. And validation on the daily time frame now with a stop loss is going to be set at 99.52, which is pretty good for position sizing. Again, we were already position sized fairly well to the downside with about 2% risk. All right, but on today's daily close, this is going to validate hedging. This is going to validate more at-risk shorts with those profit targets of around 84 to 72. Now, I did want to correlate this with classical technical analysis as well. So here we will look at some support and resistance levels. We will look at things like RSI, and we'll look at the Bollinger Bands, right, to see what you would typically learn from Investopedia, with a little bit of nuance from somebody who actually knows how to trade it. All right, so what we see today is a breakdown of the 20-period simple moving average, or the mid-range, the median of the Bollinger Band calculation. All right. We also have this diagonal trend line, which stretches from the peak of the June 2019 bull run, marks the top of the February 2020 rally, and recently was broken through and acted as a kind of median for consolidation. Again, as you can see, we break it, sell off, come down, rise back up, and you can see that the diagonal line serves as a good median, right? Serves as a good median. It's about the middle of the range from a diagonal angle. Okay. Now, if we had simply came down, which we did for a while, right? If you look at the lower time frames, we came down to that price level and bounced off of it to the upside. And that is where you can make the justification for a type of setup called a support and resistance retest, right? This is where you break a level of resistance and then you sell back down to it. And if you are able to establish that new level as support and you're not able to convincingly trade below it, then you have now moved the bar up. Buyers are willing to hold this price level, which forms a good theory for higher prices moving forward. Like, buyers are continually moving up to support price, and price doesn't dramatically drop until buyers give up and they say, we're not supporting price here anymore. Remember that selling pressure via mining is generally consistent on chain. Therefore, we have constant selling pressure. So when price really takes a tumble, it is certainly people selling more, but one thing that people overlook that I think is more important is it's buyers buying less. Right? You need active buying to be moving price up, and you need buyers to be consistently buying to keep price stable and up. Otherwise, there is constant sell pressure on Bitcoin from miners selling. All right. So we don't see that. We did not see a bounce either off the 20 simple moving average on a convincing basis, nor a bounce off of that diagonal support level. In fact, what do we see? We see a breakdown of it. Now, if this were to occur near like another significant level of support, you might be able to make a case here where, well, this is just a fake out. This is just a, kind of a pierce through, and we're going to bounce right back up. I don't believe that's the case with this. I don't think that there's any argument for that. Certainly not from a technical perspective here. We are going to be closing below that level, both of the diagonal resistance level and of the simple moving average 20, which marks, again, the median of the Bollinger Band, the mean of the Bollinger Band. Um, all right, so based on this, we have some good confluence as well. If we look at where the lower edge of the Bollinger Band is, with just a cursory, I've talked about this before, with just a cursory glance, the Bollinger Bands tend to act as good dynamic levels of support and resistance. They are natural magnets for price action. It's not the best way to trade. I've been fairly critical of utilizing Bollinger Bands. There are issues with it, but I did just want to correlate what my trading system is telling me to do, because that's an objective data-driven trading strategy, as opposed to doing what most people consider charting, right? Where they look at levels on the chart and they try to get a subjective feeling of where price is going. That's what I'm attempting to do for you guys right now. So if we look at the lower boundary of the Bollinger Band, that's coming in right around 8,400. We also have a support level. We can stretch this back before and see some correlation with this level as well, right around 8,627. Now, I'm a little bit more critical of that horizontal support level, but when we can line it up with the fact that that's right next to the lower boundary of the Bollinger Band, and it's likely that will likely move up just a little bit over the next few days because of the smoothing function of the Bollinger Band algorithm, that represents a good take profit level. Perhaps not a level to buy back into Bitcoin, although I do think that making an allocation, for example, if you're sitting in cash, I think that it's completely logical to say, okay, if we get down to about 8,600, 8,400, I'm going to peel off 10 to 20% of my resting capital that's in USD or USDT, make my movement back into Bitcoin. If we drop to 6,000, I'm going to peel off 20 to 40%. And if we drop down even more, then I'm going to invest the rest of my capital. And that allows you as a passive investor to get a good dollar cost averaged entry into Bitcoin on the way down, which is an attractive way to do it. Similarly to scaling out on the way up. This is how you would do it with any other asset. If you're just a hodler and you don't care what price is, then this doesn't matter to you. But again, still represents good areas if you want to add to your Bitcoin stack moving forward. All right. So again, that's fairly clear. That's fairly easy. This lines up very well with what we're seeing from the Breaking Bitcoin system. Of course, initial take profit from the Breaking Bitcoin system and Quadriga ATR, which is based off actual market volatility and not any kind of subjective chart or line or indicator, is going to be pushing us down to about 84.67, right? 84.67. So that's actually a little bit more of a negative take and lines up really well with that lower boundary. But again, the confluence is good to see. Clearly, 86.27 is much closer to 8,400 than 9,400. Okay. Moving forward from there, let's get zoomed out. Let's look at the 4-hour time frame and see what we can see. All right, so we can see on the 4-hour time frame, if we look at Minx, we can see Minx breaking down here. That's a cross below the zero line. That's kind of your initial impetus to sell. It's also a line cross as well. So good volume confirmation coming in at that point of time as well. Cybot's still quiet on the 4-hour time frame, although we have just completed a successful 2-hour Cybot short that was signaled for yesterday. We'll go through that here in just a second. And just overall, yeah, a good, nice bearish move down, and off the last 4-hour close, we really did get a pretty successful move down. Now, we are in the oversold territory of the 4-hour. So again, why I say we can ease the momentum here, have a bit of consolidation, maybe even for 24 to 36 hours, even a slight rally up to about 92, 94. In fact, I still have limit orders set from 94 to 96, just in case, to scale in further to my short. But this is a logical area for us to take a break for a little bit. Again, we've had a nice big movement down. This will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to be maybe 6 so far consecutive red candles on the 4-hour time frame. So again, a logical area for us to take kind of a break on pause. And for those of you who like high risk, that does of course set up long scalp opportunities, but not what I'll be doing today. Let's look down at the 2-hour time frame. Again, here's Cybot nailing it. Actually, what I really liked about this Cybot signal is that it waited for the bounce back before grabbing this short to the downside. So very good movement from Cybot on this particular movement. And we do have a little bit of bullish divergence from a Minx as well. Here we can see the low that was formed basically right on the Cybot signal to go short, which was pushed to the premium members. And of course, we have a lower low in price action and a slightly higher low on the Minx oscillator. So again, movement up to 92, would be potentially possible here, especially looking at the ISA spot. So we have tagged my first take profit on this movement to the downside. We have now come down and hit the point of control. This point of control was generated on the 13th of May. And although we wicked down to this area, we didn't trade convincingly through it. We wicked down to that area on the 15th. But we have come down and collapsed below this level. Next short-term profit target would be the $8,700 range, just looking at VPSV. Whereas 94, 98, 9,500 now becomes a natural level of resistance as that previous low support. We bounced here, that now becomes a logical area for resistance. So if we're looking for a retest and looking for areas to add to a short with limit orders, the 94 to $9,500 area makes a good case, makes a very good case here. And of course, ISA spot doing its thing. Let's look at the last buy signal, looking for 1% profit generated on this candle. Did we get it? No, I don't think we got 1% profit off of that movement. Did we get 1% profit off of this one? No. So 2 losing trades from the ISA spot. That's fine. We're coming off of about 5 good winners. Now, one thing I want to point out why I don't think this is a local bottom is if we look at the BitMEX funding and premium index, I've marked out the levels. I did this the other day, but now they will stay there so that we have a good point of reference. If we backtest the BitMEX funding and premium index indicator, which is available for free on TradingView, you can see when we have extreme spikes of price backwardation. Price backwardation is, of course, where the price on BitMEX is lower than the index price. And this can only occur if there's some sort of technical error or if there's aggressive market selling on the derivative side. Okay, and what's happening on the derivative side with all of its volume is very telling for what's going to happen with spot price. Or price in general, right? So we can see if you look at a value of about negative 0.12, when we have backwardation that goes below that level, typically that marks a local bottom and price moves up. Similarly, if we get a premium over 0.05, that tends to mark a local top and we move down. Now, again, we get significant at least single-digit percentage movements off of these, right? It can mark a local top in a rally and then a pullback, and then we continue moving up and then a pullback, and then so it's not like this is the top and we're gonna have a massive movement to the downside. But they will, obviously, they will also signal that as well. So you'll have to combine this with your other forms of TA, and you'll have to combine this with your other indicators if you're combining this in either a take profit strategy for a trending system or a reversal system of some sort. And we're nowhere near that. We're only about half of the way there, right? So this is not extreme backwardation. This is violent backwardation, but not extreme backwardation, not backwardation that would indicate a local bottom. So overall, I think the charts are very clear to me today. I was playing the range, but as I said yesterday, I put my stop loss to break even on the last long that I took in that upper range, and that stopped out at break even. So I took no loss on my last speculative long. I did not post any long trades yesterday. I did not feel that that was necessary. Alex guiding the group properly into hedging back up. Big movement to the downside and a good opportunity here to continue this movement forward. Looking at the broader market as well, red day. When it's a bad day for Bitcoin, it's a bad day for everything else. And we're seeing STEEM down 20%, Electroneum, which had a little bit of a rally over the last few days, down as well. OMG Go, the only thing that's doing moderately well and holding its value. And then whatever this new random shitcoin is, Kusama, I've never even heard of this. And Engine Coin, which is certainly not whatever. It's a coin. It's a coin. I like Engine Coin. Doing well as well. Theta also slightly in the green, and Verge also slightly in the green. Let's refresh just to make sure that this is accurate. Yes. And hey, even the Bitfinex scam coin is doing somewhat okay. All right. I've pointed this out before. I want to point out the Puel multiple, which has generally indicated good accumulation levels for Bitcoin for long-term hodlers, which is, again, why I'm advocating setting limit orders to scale back into a positional long, right? Regardless of how low we drop. The Puel multiple is back down in the green accumulation area. Doesn't mean that we're going to reverse anytime soon. Generally indicates a protracted long period of ranging and dipping for the next, at least a month. But I think over the next few months, building back up that positional long trade or adding to one, if you added one at lower prices, is certainly a good thing to do, because I do believe that we are going to be seeing much higher prices moving forward in 2020 and 2021 for the macro. My analysis on the weekly time frame, on the monthly time frame, is still overwhelmingly bullish. Let's see here. Yeah, so Bitcoin's price, fairly simple, fairly straightforward today. I don't think, the main thing that I want to advise people against is just feeling that this is the dip to buy back into, and I certainly don't believe that it is. I certainly don't believe that it is, based on the price action that we're seeing, based on where we are in relationship to support and resistance, and of course, based on what my trading system is telling me. My trading system is telling me to actually be looking for shorts on today's daily candle, and it generally doesn't do that when we're close to a market reversal point, and we don't have any sort of reversal indications on any kind of higher time frame here that would tell us that price is going to be turning around anytime soon. We are likely going to see a more pronounced movement, at least another $400 to $600 movement to the downside. So patiently setting your take profits and setting your limit orders to scale back in is the way to go. GBU Wally, good to see you again, my man. Top donator of all time, coming with the $20. He says, love your show, my man. Great analysis and insightful news coverage. Your technical chops are legend. Learn, earn, and don't get burned. Shout out to you, my friend, and shout out to Gunbot University and Gunbot. Hopefully you guys are killing it, working the wick while we're all staying asleep. All right. Let me get a drink of water here, and we will move on slightly. All right. Now, let's look at the ES. Let's look at the traditional markets today. We'll break down the indices here in just a little bit and look at our major ETFs that we trade. But the SPY having a weak pullback. Bitcoin having a big sell-off, the SPY having a weak pullback. This actually doesn't look too bearish to me. I think we can see some continuation. We really do need to kind of break some support. Let's look at the SPY here. Yeah, let's look at the SPY. Overall, SPY good. I think we are building up for a potential breakout right here. If we end up selling off here, if I'm wrong, that's totally fine. We do have one potential. See, here's the thing. We didn't close above the upper boundary of the Bollinger Band. Typically, if we close above the upper boundary of the Bollinger Band and then close back inside, that is going to be a reversal signal. That didn't happen on traditional markets. All things are looking relatively bullish, actually, for the stock markets and building up these nice progressive higher highs, looking for, I think, a better breakout on the SPY. This will be invalidated if the SPY ends up coming down and cracking below 287. Then we'd be looking around 277 to actually buy back into the SPY. But again, my long exposure is actually doing very well today. Let's go through and break down my open positions. All right, so here we are. Man, if you guys want to talk about a nail-biting trade, okay, let's talk about Tyson, right? I've been short on Tyson for a while. Back in the green today. Here's my setup on Tyson. I even posted this one on TradingView. Everybody can follow along. Let's go, baby. All right. Looking at 10, I feel like 10 is just not trading at the moment. But again, stalled out at 39.72 in the profit, so I'm not too worried about it. Do have long exposure on PDBC. Went long on PDBC here. Let's take a gander and see if it is time to take some profit on PDBC. I think we will be taking profit on PDBC today. This looks good. We did close above. We are closing back inside the Bollinger Band, so I could see PDBC pulling back down to the mid range here, about 1160, which would actually indicate a little bit lower movements for the SPY. So I'll let the SPY ultimately make the decision for me. Brett says, please stop shorting Tyson, man. Please just stop. Take the selling pressure off. USO doing well. I'm actually going to go ahead and hold my oil long open. Went long on USO. Let's go back here and just double check. Yeah, here's the continuation signal on the USO. Had a fantastic movement on this ETF. I've already hit my first take profit. Today looks like a good area to take some profit on the USO, so we might peel off a little bit of our position and update our trailing stop loss. CPER, after having a pretty good movement on CPER's hit first take profit and now having a pretty big pullback back into the Bollinger Band, so we might be taking profit on CPER today depending on daily close. SPLG has not given us that nice big movement yet, but overall I'm okay with that. Again, the Admiralty portfolio section of the S&P, which I quite like. I really like trading SPLG. All right. In other news, the pound Kiwi doing well. Let's take a look at the pound Kiwi. Hello. Is this thing on? Pound Kiwi looking like a potential take profit area on the pound Kiwi. We've had a beautiful movement out of the pound Kiwi, so we might be locking in those profits on today's daily candle. Same with the dollar Canadian. Dollar Canadian's actually right back up at our entry. I think I'm actually inclined. Yeah, I think I'm actually inclined to hold the dollar Canadian open. Been long on silver for quite a while. Silver having a pullback today. Let's see if this is a logical take profit area for silver. It does look to be a logical take profit area for silver, so we'll wait to see if we can get a bounce back off of this sell-off. Let's see here. Aluminum subindex still down. All right, Aussie dollar and Kiwi dollar long on. Those are giving us a little bit of drawdown right now and pullbacks, but I'm not inclined to pull those trades for any reason. So really pretty good, pretty clear skies moving forward. Kenneth mentions SRNE fundamental. Last Friday, they claimed to have an antibody to stop cell infection. Could be a good fund trade. Well, let's look at SRNE. Sorrento Therapeutics. Looks like this thing already pump and dump, bro. Might be late to the party on this one. Yeah, I'm not digging this one whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, just huge, big old cryptocurrency type movement up 284%. Big old profit taking. Yeah, I'm going to let that one reset. Good find, though. All right, let's break down the news with today's crypto currently segment. If you guys have some chart requests, post them in the chat. We'll do our best to get to them later on in the show. Let's get going, guys. All right, now let's take a look at what's going on the STEEM blockchain today. It appears that the drama between the community of STEEM and Justin Sun continues. So yesterday, there was a controversial hard fork that occurred on the STEEM platform, one in which over $5 million worth of STEEM tokens were seized from loyal hodlers. Now, some of you in the audience may remember our coverage of the civil war raging inside the STEEM community. Back in December, Justin Sun and his Tron network moved in like ballers to buy Steemit.com. And with the purchase of Steemit.com, they would get the voting rights that would grant them control essentially over the blockchain decisions, right? Because of Steem's DPoS system. Now, a huge split in the community formed over whether or not Justin Sun had the right to vote on-chain governance, because he would be utilizing the previous owners of Steemit.com's massive trove of pre-mined Steem tokens. And the community claimed that since its inception, there was a gentleman's agreement in place that the owner's huge pre-mined supply would never be used to vote on the blockchain. But oh, how gentlemen's agreements go the way of the dogs in times of war. And this is when the community enacted an emergency hard fork that would see the voting power of its new owner neutralized. But Justin Sun countered. He leveraged Steem that was deposited on exchanges from people that weren't even involved, from exchanges that were friendly to his crusade, mind you, to push through a vote restoring his power over the Steem chain. And the whole debacle resulted in the Steemit community generally forking away from Steem and making a new chain and community called Hive. And that brings us to yesterday, where Justin Sun's Steem blockchain pushed through a surprise hard fork that would seize the Steem balances of users identified as most opposed to Justin Sun and his field commanders in the civil war that has been taking place over the last several months. This is a good movie. Somebody make this. In total, yesterday's hard fork confiscated about 23.6 million Steem tokens, which is worth about $5 million, maybe like $4.2 million now that we've had this big dump. But in a shocking turn of events, at the last moment, an anonymous hero stepped in to save the day. That individual managed to route the seized coins away from the Community 321 wallet choosing instead to transfer them to Bitrrex, the cryptocurrency exchange Bitrrex, in the hopes that Bitrrex would be a trustworthy and neutral third party that could reunite those stolen tokens with their rightful owners. But sadly, this last-ditch effort appears to have been all for nothing, because Bitrrex has since announced that it will refuse to hand over the coins to the affected users. It is stated it is going to respect the initial plan of Justin Sun to seize the coins. So for now, that is a lost cause, right? Now, keep in mind that Steem validators, who are known as witnesses, run the network and are either loyalists or sock puppets of Justin Sun's. They claimed that the accounts posed a direct threat to the blockchain. That's how this whole thing is being justified by the Tron side of this. These accounts that we seize these funds from are hostile. We're in enemy territory, right? And this hard fork, when it was pushed through, seized the funds. And just let me summarize this again, because this is cool, man. I mean, this is terrible. This is what happens with centralized chains. But the plan went in motion. The hard fork was set, and they're like, okay, send those seized coins to this wallet identified as Community 321. But the person who was operating the wallet, a man on the inside, was like, nah, screw you. Punt the football to Bitrrex, right? And the coins, they weren't sent to a specific Bitrrex user's deposit account either. They were forwarded to Bitrrex's main wallet directly. And that means that this unsung hero never intended to keep or steal any of the coins. And they left a note for Justin Sun on the blockchain, which said in Korean, quote, stealing is bad. And these are the funds stolen by the Steem witnesses using Hard Fork 23 on May 20th, 2020. Please return them to their rightful owners. Now, when that happened, Steem users and victims of the seizure saw a glimmer of hope that they may, in fact, recover their Steem thanks to the actions of this anonymous hero. But not to be had. Now, if they would have sent it to the Poloniex exchange, they'd have been screwed, because, Justin Sun owns Poloniex, the cryptocurrency exchange. Now, this stealing is bad message. This proves that, this suggests that whoever sent the funds to Bitrrex was actually a double agent, right? Posing as a loyalist or sock puppet of Justin Sun, while really playing the role of the good guy on the inside, right? And he was playing, because he was in charge of the critical role of controlling the Community 321 account that the seized coins would be sent to, right? So ultimately, he was the one that was put in control of sending the funds, and he utilized that role as a, kind of a plant of Justin Sun's to enact this kind of community hero movement, right? Now, the Steem users affected by the seizure immediately hit up Bitrrex to start the process of getting their funds back. But earlier today, another major plot twist has taken place. Bitrrex wrote in their official blog post, this blog post is titled Response to the Steemit Situation, and they gave everyone this very distinct impression that they are not going to return the coins to the original holders, right? Holding to the code is law kind of edict that came out of the Ethereum Classic DAO hack, right? Bitrrex co-founder Richie Lai said, let's see if I can find this. We believe in the sanctity of blockchain, and as an industry, we need to adhere to the consensus rules of the blockchain without interjecting whatever our personal opinions might be. If we want blockchain to succeed, we must live by the rules of the blockchain. Code is law. So, and Lai also said that his personal feelings don't matter. And in this case, they have to interpret the data that exists on the blockchain. And regardless of however consensus was reached, consensus on the chain agrees that the funds from those 64 accounts is designated to be moved to the 321 community account, right? And, the argument for Bitrrex is that although the community feels that this hard fork was unfair to the Steem witnesses in stealing their coins, technically the witnesses are in control of the blockchain and they get to decide what happens. So unless Bitrrex changes its mind, those STEEM owners are never going to get their funds back. However, those funds have not yet made their way back to the Community 321 wallet. Many are pointing to Bitrrex's official procedure for returning hacked tokens to their rightful owner, right? And how they do that is to first receive proof of ownership from the victim, right? So there is a small glimmer of hope. There's a small glimmer of hope. Bitrrex is going to have to review the facts of the transfer in order to return those funds to the original wallet owner, provided the owner or owners of the wallet can prove the funds belong to them. In other words, whoever is rightfully in control of the Community 321 wallet may have to declare themselves at least to Bitrrex. And it could be interesting to see who actually does that eventually, breaking cover, coming out of their anonymity. But as of right now, the funds still remain with Bitrrex as this drama continues to play itself out. Now, just a small note here, because, I don't like to kick at low-hanging fruit, but I can't really help myself. This will never happen on Bitcoin, right? Unfortunately, these are the things that can happen when you have convoluted and centralized systems, right? Brian S. asks, where is the link for the Discord? Discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com, my friend. Should be a link in the description down below. If you're watching us on Twitch or DLive, they're all over the place down there. So let me know what your guys' thoughts on this are. Obviously, if you're pro STEEM, then you're going to have certain worded opinions on this. But again, I'm really just interested in getting your guys' idea on this, because they're, I want to hear it all, right? I'm sure that there's going to be an argument that this is a good thing, even if we, can broadly look at this and say, this is some shady business. And this is the kind of shady business that you're inevitably going to get from centralized coins, unfortunately. But we'll see. But one thing is certain, this is some juicy drama, man. Khalid L and Trevor Nichols, thank you so much for the subs on YouTube, my friend. All right, our next story moving forward. We're going to be talking about gold. President Donald Trump is nominating new names for the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. And his top pick is Judy Shelton. Now, if you don't know, Judy Shelton is known for being an advocate for a return to the gold standard and maybe adding a little cryptocurrency into the mix, right? Now, this is a tweet from Gold Telegraph. Actually, you know what? We can stick to this right here, Cointelegraph interview for right now. All right. This was published with the Gold Telegraph. Judy Shelton was asked about her thoughts on this return to the gold standard position, to which she replied, "I don't see it so much as returning to the gold standard, more like back to the future. I think that what a gold standard stands for is monetary discipline for its own sake. Money is supposed to be a unit of account, a reliable measure, and a dependable store of value. It really shouldn't be subject to who's the chairman of the Federal Reserve." And the Bitcoin crowd goes wild. Well, certainly the gold bug crowd goes wild, right? Looking into the future, she even sees digital currency as being part of the monetary solution, pointing out what Bitcoiners have long stated, that central banks and central bank monetary policy have not provided the private sector with a sound unit of account. Because under the gold standard, you had a certain stability. And that is the missing ingredient that we currently have to this fiscal recipe. But it could be tried again. This time, potentially, she hinted, in a cryptocurrency sort of way. And Judy is no stranger to the idea of a digital dollar. She has previously advocated that the dollar's supremacy on the global stage is going to be challenged if it doesn't stay with the times, clearly signaling her support for a digital dollar. For Shelton, this priority for the United States needs to be, but her main priority, that I should say, is a reset away from the distortions of the Fed over the past half century. And I'm just going to go ahead and play. This is about a minute and 40 seconds. I'm just going to go ahead and play this so you guys can hear this.
Would returning to gold standard help the U.S. economy? Can you talk a little about your thoughts on that?
Well, I would say I don't see it so much as returning, but more of a back to the future.
Okay.
I think that what a gold standard stands for is monetary discipline for its own sake. That is, if money is supposed to be a unit of account and a reliable measure and a dependable store of value, it really shouldn't be subject to who's the chairman of the Federal Reserve. And I think that money needs to be stable and provide the foundation for productive economic growth. And when money is just a variable that financial markets toss around, or it's part of a derivatives formula, or it's part of someone speculating on currencies, it's not serving the private sector in the sense of providing that reliable unit of account so you can make plans. And under a gold standard, you did have that stability, and I think that's what's missing. And so I like the idea of a gold standard. I mean, it could be used in a very cryptocurrency way. The point is, do you have a unified money system so that when you talk about the international marketplace, everyone is playing on a level monetary playing field? And it's very important to have a rules-based approach. And that's why I'm advocating that we need to look at the virtues of a gold standard and try to come up with something much closer to matching those, and then I think we would have more solid economic growth.
Yeah, sorry if that was a little loud, guys. I might have turned that up just a little too much. Didn't mean to blow your eardrums out. But yeah, certainly get your bids in gold, guys. You know, I've been talking about this for months. All right, so now, because I don't pay for paywalls, because I bypass them. In this Financial Times interview with Judy Shelton, she has previously argued that the Federal Reserve's current game plan invalidates the reality of a market-led society, saying, quote, "How can a dozen, slightly less than a dozen, people meeting 8 times a year decide what the cost of capital should be versus some kind of organically market supply determined rate? The Fed is not omniscient. They don't know what the right rate should be. How could anyone?" Right? She goes on to say here, if the success of capitalism depends on someone being smart enough to know what the rate should be on everything, we're doomed. We might as well resurrect Gau's plan, referring to the state committee that ran the Soviet Union's planned economy. Right? And overall, just signaling that heavy-handed central bank intervention hinders the ability of the market to function free from centrally planned overreach. And that is the big problem. You know, this is as much psychological as it is economical, right? Human beings do well when they feel they are progressing toward their own goal and they're free to make their own decisions. They become productive, right? They do cool stuff like make Bitcoin, or circuit boards, or medical inventions. When you throttle people and they feel that they are not free to make their own decisions, then they will fight you at every turn. Anybody with a 2-year-old knows this, okay? Tell her to brush her teeth. Not getting any teeth brushed. Tell her that she is slathering magical fruity candy all over her gums, and you can't get her out of the bathroom. Now, here, I mean, she overlaps with proponents of Bitcoin and blockchain technology, who argue that this new technology can ensure that our currency remains as free from manipulation as humanly possible. And this is where Shelton is sympathetic to advocates, in my opinion, of digital scarcity, and certainly could be sympathetic to those who claim that Bitcoin can induce a deflationary monetary policy by serving as a reserve currency with a finite supply. And she's also said, however, that she is open to an approach where the Fed would target a dollar price for gold by linking the supply of money and credit to gold. So basically utilizing gold as, you know, just basically returning the gold standard, right? Now, while there were rumors that the Senate Banking Committee was at one point set to vote on Judy Shelton's Fed nomination earlier this month, for now, any progress on the matter appears to have stalled amid bipartisan skepticism. So Fed lords, gold bugs, and Bitcoiners alike, we're going to have to wait for now, but certainly, let your voices be heard. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. Maybe not the person we deserve, but certainly the person that we need up in this house. All right. With that being said, give me 1 second. Let me see if I can get the guys in here, and we'll break down your requests and answer your questions. All right, I am joined by Crypto Jack and senior analyst Alex Pearson. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Joined by good, getting by. Watching the big dip.
That's a new constellation, Jack?
I was just about to say, we got the Big Dipper. This constellation is the Whale.
Yeah. I like this picture that you posted here, Jack.
I didn't know we were bring spicy memes. I could have brought spicy memes.
Certainly does feel that way. Certainly does feel that way.
Big corporate overlord's gonna get their way.
Say something, I'm giving up on you. Say something, I'm giving up on you. All right, so man, hold on. I gotta not route the route the music into my headphones. There we go. Okay, so you guys can hear that, but I can't, which will help me concentrate. All right, so you guys know what we just covered. We talked about Satoshi coins moving around today. We talked about the French central bank. We talked about STEEM, and then we talked about Judy Shelton and the gold standard. So you guys have, Jack, any thoughts on one or all of these?
I was just gonna say regarding the whole Satoshi's coins thing, that really turned out to be the perfect catalyst of the dump everybody was waiting on. Yeah.
I mean, it certainly showed that. And this is kind of what I was talking about yesterday. With, you know, the technicals were there, right? Like Alex seems to have seen this, you know, a mile away, because he's been very, very bearish, you know, for the last week. And
show them my chart where I predicted price action.
Yeah, let's do that.
Market analysis, yeah.
Yeah, the Satoshi coins thing was just the perfect excuse the market needed to follow through with that.
Yes, show the public my awesome TA from this past week.
Yo, Jamie, pull that up.
All right, here we go. Yeah. So you've been very, very bearish for the past week, and this is what I meant yesterday when I said that news happens after the event to justify it, or, you know, the technicals need to be there for the catalyst to be sparked, right? And there are certainly times when news will catalyze someone to do something, but generally the way that markets move is that large players and institutions are already well positioned, and then they're ahead of the news, right? They have an advantage over retail traders in that they can move faster, they have a capital advantage, and that they can hold drawdown for long periods of time to sustain gains. And they have an information advantage, so they know things before they're going to happen, before they're available to the wider public, and they're able to move faster when that is a thing. So,
It's also a powerful tool that when you have institutional backing, you can move the market a little bit to, like, let's say price moves below your entry. You're like, oh my goodness, we chose the wrong direction. You can move the market back to your entry point and then, kind of dump your position back at entry and then allow the market continue on its way. And we do see that. This is kind of what happens during, quote unquote retests of important consolidation levels. What do you think's going on there? Someone's got to unwind their position, and it ain't you.
Yeah, and I think that there's kind of a cliche about this, right? Which is when retail misses the bus, they miss the bus, and when institutions miss the bus backs up.
So true.
Yeah.
And so I have a question. So theoretically speaking, if there is a gold-backed currency again, now that we have more modern financial instruments, we could have a central bank digital currency that is asset-backed, but the assets don't necessarily have to be just gold. It can be a basket of assets. And if Bitcoin ends up continuing to be a store of value, the way we're seeing the market respond to it right now, we could end up with a Bitcoin-backed, partially Bitcoin-backed digital currency. It's backed by gold, it's backed by Bitcoin, it's backed by whatever assets the government is holding at that time.
It would certainly be a better step in the right direction. Yes, right. You wouldn't get the unconfiscatability. You wouldn't get the unconfiscatable nature of Bitcoin. You wouldn't get the uncensorable nature of Bitcoin.
The government doesn't want us to have those aspects.
Right. I'm just stating that it would be better than what we currently have because it would give us some monetary stability. But it would be, yes, I'm agreeing with you. It would be a step in the right direction, but we would still be behooved to continue to not be satisfied with that. To be like, all right, cool. You guys gave us a baby step. You guys gave us an inch. Now watch this while we take a mile, right? Because that's kind of the end, right? If you get, if the government were to come out and say, all right, guys, we're going to do it like Libra did. Libra was right, but we're not giving credit to Libra. We were totally thinking about making a basket of value before Libra did it, right? They just moved first. They must have copied over our shoulder. So they're going to do this kind of basket of assets, backing. And if Bitcoin is one of those assets, then that puts into the limelight. That is basically the government approval of the Bitcoin network and the Bitcoin currency. And then we can just go from there and be like, well, hey guys, you're using this thing over here. Why not just use the real thing, right? Don't drink the Diet Pepsi. Come over here and get the Pepsi throwback. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the real Pepsi. I guess the Pepsi throwback would be like the gold standard just by itself.
I guess. Is that like drinking the Kool-Aid? Well, it's actually Flavor Aid, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. A little bit of red dye. It's good for it's good for the immune system, I hear.
Was it red dye 49? Red number. I can't remember. Just famous red.
Just let those vaccines flow right in.
That's how you know it's working.
All right. What about STEEM? Any thoughts on STEEM, you guys?
It's just such a clusterfuck. You know, I don't know how you can look at that, anything that's going on in the STEEM blockchain, and be like, yeah, this is where I want to put my money or invest my money. Like, I would have long since headed for the doors. I don't know how they still have anybody who is, hanging on, who believes in the project. The project's been destroyed by greed, whichever direction you look at it. No matter whose side you are on right now, like once the community split in half and there's like money being sent around and stuff. I was talking about this in the group the other day. When I'm investing my money, I do not want to hear about any drama happening on the blockchain or the company or whatever. If the CEO of a company is banging his secretary, I don't want to invest my money in that company. No drama where my money goes. Like, that's like the number one rule, right?
Yeah, I agree. It's a good investment. It's a good investment strategy, or a good investment philosophy, and also a good personal life strategy, right? No drama.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sloppy.
Yeah, Justin Sun is quickly shaping up to be the most hated man in crypto. But I'll tell you what, it does highlight some of the shortcomings of delegated proof of stake, which is how STEEM it runs. But at the same time, if there's a lining to this cloud, it's going to be that the community at some point picked up and moved on, right? They forked the chain and went on their own merry way. So it goes to show you that at some point, the power does rest in the users. At any given point, if you polarize the community, yes, the hard fork, the resulting hard fork or a fork might be devastating and might split the community up. But it goes to show you there's still avenues that if the power in some sense is with the people in the collective, those people can potentially fork off and do their own thing and go on their own way, right? So I think it does demonstrate that we had it was a little bit of a victory for the community that went on to form Hive, right?
Yeah, you could just fork off.
Yeah.
But yeah, Justin Sun and these heavy-handed tactics. Well, any luck, maybe they'll backfire. I do know that many people in the STEEM community powered down their wallets and headed for the exits. I did something similar myself, so I'm not a big fan of where STEAM's going or where Justin Sun may be taking it. And me personally, I'm more aligned with the Hive crowd, but. What a debacle, I have to say. Right from the very beginning, with the collusion with the other exchanges, in order to wrestle voting power to reverse the hard fork that blocked Justin in the first place. What a drama, right?
Yeah, it's pretty terrible.
And that is what people have always said their main worry about was for these distributed proof of stake blockchains was that it concentrated power into the hands of the exchanges, and that gave exchanges undue influence over the blockchain. And damned if, here we are just a couple of years later. I mean, it's not even like, we're decades into this blockchain thing. These kinds of blockchains are only a couple of years old, and we already see this happening. And it's taken place, and people have lost serious money due to this effect.
Yeah, EOS is mired in a similar situation right now. EOS, of course, founded by Dan Larimer, same guy who created STEEM, and he's kind of on the forefront of delegated proof of stake. And EOS found itself in a similar situation right now. Something we didn't cover in the news this week, but EOS is another blockchain project that's being sued right now. Investors claim that they were misled, and particularly into thinking it's a decentralized network, whereas EOS right now has got a serious centralization problem in the hands of Chinese cartels, right? So. The EOS, the block that won, the one that manages EOS, the software and all that, I think they recently announced that they will be voting for witnesses or validators on the network.
Block validators, yeah.
So it's kind of similar to what we see here. it's like Justin Sun decided to utilize his big trove that he just acquired in order to, sway the valid, or vote in different witnesses that were aligned with his interests. And EOS might be moving to something similar right now. Maybe they're going to look to spread around the validators a little bit around the world to kind of combat this centralization narrative, but. Yeah, nonetheless, just like you guys said, delegated proof of stake certainly has its issues. Does require everyone to be kind of all hands on deck and voting and active and involved in the community. But the problem is most people aren't, and then most people leave their troves of tokens that can be used to vote on exchange. And so you're really leaving the door wide open for exchanges to, vote on your behalf. Obviously, they usually don't engage in that, but it goes to show you when push comes to shove. We saw what the exchanges did earlier this year, and that's why I think it's super interesting how right now Bitrrex is kind of falling back on this excuse that they're going to respect the consensus rules. They're going to respect what the validators wish to do. But when the STEEM community hard forked, earlier this year in order to neutralize Justin Sun's stake or his voting rights, that was all done according to the consensus rules, right? The community didn't do anything fishy when they enacted that hard fork. But then you saw the Binance, the Bitrrex, the Poloniex, the exchanges that took part in the coup. They went more or less against the validators, right? There was nothing that said, cooperate with Justin Sun and go against the hard fork that the witnesses in the community had just voted on to take place. So they undid, one. Well, I wouldn't say they undid it quite per se, but they went against the validators and the witness sentiment. In one circumstance a few months ago, and now here they are saying, well, we got to side with Justin Sun again because this is what the validators have chosen to do. Really, really shady, and goes to show you that there might be a lot more collusion inside this industry than we give it credit for.
Yeah, especially, with smaller exchanges, smaller coins, lower liquidity, when people, the majority of retail investors, retail speculators, just go on Binance or Huobi or whatever, and they buy these coins and they just let them sit on these exchanges, not knowing that behind their back, while their coins are just sitting there, things are happening, right? Beyond their awareness and beyond their control that affect, the future of their investment. And they don't really know anything unless they watch the price chart or unless they see something on Cointelegraph.
What I think is an interesting thought is I wonder how much the Chinese government is kind of pushing behind the scenes for the centralization of these blockchains and the Chinese takeover of these blockchains. The Chinese government has explicitly said that they are going to focus their technology prowess on becoming number one in the world on blockchains. They have more than once listed. The Chinese government, for whatever reason, posts a list of, they rank blockchains, and EOS just always happens to come out on top of their listings. EOS being very centrally owned by the Chinese, as Jack had stated earlier. I recall recently, do you remember when Justin Sun had that lunch with Warren Buffett and he was doing all, his usual overly hyped marketing and stuff like that? And then Justin Sun kind of like disappeared for a week, and he definitely was, quote unquote, not kidnapped by Chinese authorities and interrogated very harshly for, the stuff. And, he came back very chastised, but, he also seems to have kind of, it's after this incident that the STEEM stuff has happened. He's bought CoinMarketCap. He's, definitely started to centralize a lot of these previously more decentralized blockchains and tools, cryptocurrency tools.
Yeah. You know what? You're onto something. That was actually a popular conspiracy theory just when this whole Steemit takeover occurred. Maybe people might not be aware of this, but I do think that Steemit is pretty much the leading blockchain-based social media type platform out there right now in the space. And what that means is that for the most part, it's somewhat permissionless, right? So basically anybody can log on, register for Steemit, create a wallet, create an account, and you can pretty much post censorship free, right? Even if the steemit.com front end were to somehow block or censor your posts, your information, your content would still be submitted to the Steem blockchain, to the back end, and still be visible on the chain itself. So very much it's like one of the most this is something that a lot of people again are not probably aware of, but this is probably one of the most censorship resistant, I should say, social media platforms out there, right? So if we're now putting this in the context of the Chinese government, right? There might be concern that there might come to a point in the future where political dissidents, revolutionaries, whatever, they might very well call on the Steemit blockchain. Again, not many other competitors like it, in order to preach their anti-government propaganda, act as dissidents, what have you. So I think it's very convenient that Justin Sun, I'm not I'm not saying this is conclusive by any means, but maybe the Chinese government got to him. Maybe he's an agent for the Chinese operatives, right? And he's looking to rein in maybe one of the leading social media platforms that could be used in a campaign to potentially destabilize the Chinese government or something like that, right? So I think it's very convenient that possibly indirectly through Justin, the Chinese government might have sunk its claws into what could be, one of our last bastions of free speech.
Yeah, I certainly see the validity in those points. I mean, unfortunately for them, if that is somewhat the case, then I think that all of this is bad publicity and doesn't really make Steam an attractive platform to utilize moving forward. So, I think that ultimately, listen, I think that there is a good push. Well, I'd like to see more of it, but we interviewed Anastasia. I cannot pronounce her last name. We got that interview up on YouTube. Great gal. And we interviewed her, and she's behind Freedom Watch, right? Which is trying to create a censorship-resistant platform like YouTube. So there are certainly individuals pushing and moving that forward. Now, Steemit was pretty popular. And, I know that, as kind of evil as it may, I don't want to say evil, but Twitch is another censorship-resistant platform that's built off of the BSV blockchain. So I do think that the desire and the push for a decentralized chain will be for a decentralized social media platform will be built that's censorship resistant. I think that, especially when we see the improvements of, I don't know if it's right to build a second layer on top of Bitcoin for that, but if it could be done, particularly with Schnorr signatures and Taproot and the other improvements that are coming to Bitcoin over the next couple of years, it possibly could be done in a more secure fashion. But I think, again, certainly would need a blockchain, and it is kind of a shame to see kind of see Steemit go down like that, because you do have a very good point.
Yeah, we got to keep our eyes on Justin Sun and what the Tron Foundation does, and I think he's going to remain a suspect of being some type of Chinese operative, but I guess we'll see. Maybe they got to him around that Warren Buffett dinner, right? That whole kidney stone story was a big cover.
They snatched him coming out that restaurant with a steak bone in his mouth. I think price is going to continue to move down here. We've still got positive funding, still positive predicted funding. Backwardation is easing up a little bit.
People trying to buy the dip.
Neil Love says he is officially short EOS. Don Cannon claims I am a United States spy.
I think Don Cannon actually has a good point. We don't even need to consider Justin Sun to be like an agent of the Chinese government. Frankly, if the United States government came to me and they're like, "Hey, dude, we're gonna pull you up. We need you to stop doing that behavior," I'd be like, "Yes, okay, whatever you say." All right. What was it I was doing? Okay, yes, I'll stop doing that thing. Please don't throw me in some black site. Thank you.
Mike 689. It is not parabolic SAR whatsoever. That's why.
Justin actually does not like parabolic SAR. Not you folks at home might not know this, but he does not like that indicator.
Listen, it's not that it's terrible. It's just that there's better things out there.
It's hard to argue with, so many of the common indicators people use.
It's given me bad results every time I've tried to build a system with parabolic SAR. Or, like I would make something that was profitable, and then I'm just like, I could have easily done this a lot easier with something else.
All right, what do we got in that Q&A? We have any requests from the audience?
Well, if we're looking for conversational topics, I think one thing that would be interesting to discuss is, you mentioned that about 10 Bitcoins worth of that not Satoshi Nakamoto mined currency got sent to a coin mixer.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting because, these days it seems like coin mixing kind of decreases the fungibility of your Bitcoin. You're starting to have people pop up and be like, oh, I see that this money came from a coin join. We're going to have to, take a closer look at your account because of, new anti-money laundering regulations and things like that. So I thought, because these are essentially like almost pure Bitcoin in the sense like they were mined way back at the beginning. They've never been used. Like this is something you could sell at a premium.
Exactly.
You could sell this at a premium to an institution. Like some of you folks might not know this, but like untouched Bitcoin is worth a premium because it hasn't been attached to any drug. It never got used to buy drugs on the Silk Road or anything like that. There's no chance the government's going to come and be like, that Bitcoin got used and we're going to have to seize that because it was used in a crime or something like that.
Yeah, it's very odd that he would send that through a mixer, yet simultaneously send a small fraction of it to Coinbase, right? Assuming, if you got a Coinbase account, I'm pretty sure they've got some basic KYC on you. All right, so it's like at the same time, you send this through a mixer, but you send some of it to an account that could potentially identify you. Very, very strange.
Mm-hmm. And if you're wondering what's going on with OMG, I'm pretty sure they got a Coinbase listing, and that's why it's been pumping.
OMG. Well, let's see if it's listed on. Not officially on TradingView yet. Okay, so OMG USD. OMG listed on Coinbase. Let's see here. That one slipped by me. Launching on Coinbase Pro 2 days ago. Trading started at 7 a.m. Pacific time yesterday. Got a nice movement to the upside. Yeah, so just my general thoughts looking at this chart is good trade. I mean, we are at the previous peak of OMG that we reached back in February of 2020. Mm-hmm. And zooming out a little bit more here, basically at the support, right, which kind of marks the change from like, oh, look, 2017, 2018, or, 2017, 2018, and 2019, 2020.
We missed it on the Breaking Bitcoin system. Unfortunately, when it popped up right over our qualifying line and just never came back down. We never got the opportunity to catch it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fantastic area to take some profit on OMG. I mean, with some, with things like listings or with things like fundamentals, yeah, certainly this thing could run. But I mean, you would be silly if you didn't look at this price and be like, man, if you bought anywhere down here, this is a good time to peel about 50% off. If you want, I would, and with something like this, certainly could run for a few more days, could turn around right here. We do see some indications. Obviously, RSI hasn't been this overbought since we were back over here. It's only been this overbought a few times. Just looking at the tether chart, I'm not even going to look at the BTC chart because that's going to be confusing. And if we look at Minx, we're getting a little bit of bearish divergence, but you do need price to turn before you can confirm bearish divergence. So we have a high in price action, a high on the oscillator, higher high and lower high on Minx, which is pretty telling right here. So yeah, good area. Set a trailing stop loss. Let this run if it wants to run. Don't overthink stuff like this, man. Don't overthink moon pumps. Let's see here. Somebody asked me, what settings do I use for the Bollinger Bands? Default settings are fine. Bruce Masters. Ali Sanyi says, can I take a look at Litecoin? Everything's following Bitcoin right now, so looking at individual charts doesn't really matter at this point in time. Support and resistance levels might change, but overall trend dynamics are more important. Same with Digitex token. I think Digitex token is a scam. It's a tradable asset, but I don't have any particular opinion on it. Joseph Hammond. Crypto Analyzing Porionic says, what do I think about Emisa Go on the daily chart? I just covered that. And Blogchain asks, could I comment on the recent Tether movement and the market cap battle from Steem and Hive, please? I don't have any thoughts on the Tether movement, unless you mean the Bitcoin movement from Satoshi, and I've covered that ad nauseum. And the market cap battle from Steem and Hive. Well, I think that ideally Hive wins and Steem loses. It's just it's just going to depend on the future moving forward. Let's see here. That may be MT Coiner, but Litecoin certainly is. Peckham says Tezos is showing this price action is not traded and not a trader sell-off. Not sure what you mean by that. I wanted to comment up here. Yeah, Neil Love says something. Well, Neil Love just made a good comment that is kind of indicative of basically things that I've seen throughout the chat today, which is whale alert tweets and the world dumps, what with one account being able to move markets. And I don't think that's necessarily true, right? Again, you have to understand that the technicals were already leaning bearish, right? We were already in a position where people looking at the chart, big traders, institutions, were like, it's a pretty good place to sell. 10,000, good area to start unloading our bags, right? We got the halving hype, retail bought in. Let's start setting these limit orders and start scaling out. And then some news event came to propel people, more retail traders, to start aggressively selling. But the prime was already pumped. If institutions or whales didn't want price to go down, that they would have pulled their buying support. Remember, selling pressure on Bitcoin is relatively constant. It's buying pressure that keeps it up. So it's when buying pressure is pulled, that's when price collapses like it does, right? It's not just the aggressive selling. It's the decreased. It's the pulling the rug out of the buying support pressure, right? And that's what left, right? That's what fled. Limit buy orders were evaporated off of the books. And with regards to whale alerts tweeting, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing or weird, right? You could say whale alert tweets. Well, that we have more direct information about the Bitcoin blockchain than any other economy or payment system or currency in the world. So, President Trump comes on TV, one man speaks, and the entire economy crashes, right? For example, right? You could correlate that. So it's no different, right? It's very, Whale Alerts has a large platform. A lot of people look at it, but it wasn't just Whale Alerts. This was all over the news. This was on all the crypto sites, every crypto YouTuber, every crypto Twitcher, every Twitter account. This was all anybody talked about yesterday morning. And what does that incentivize, right? It incentivizes people to take action. It catalyzes them into doing something. So no different than if, if the president or a powerful economic leader or leader of a country or, the same thing with the traditional markets and currency markets, right? Jerome Powell comes out and says one thing and people are analyzing well, did he really mean this? What if he meant this? And then they're going and placing wild speculative bets, which oscillate the market wildly. So I don't think that is negative about the cryptocurrency markets. And I don't think that I don't think it's something that is a bad thing.
Yeah, one thing I've observed, I feel that whales like to dump under the cover of darkness, right? And I've seen this before where, some perfect news event comes along, I think just inspires the whales to be like, you know what, this is what I need, while everybody's kind of focused in this direction here, looking at, this big news story, this is all eyes are off me for me to start dumping right here, right? And I feel like, maybe the whole, like you guys are saying, whole market was looking to maybe, sell this top, but, didn't really have the perfect opportunity. And along comes this whale alerts tweet and, maybe catalyzed that movement to the downside. It was just the excuse the whales on the sidelines needed to be like, all right, this is when I push into the selling.
Yeah. June asked, what's in that red data box on my chart. That's a part of my Quadriga ATR indicator. It tells me where to take profit. It tells me where to set my stop. Calculates my position size, what percent of equity that should be. Tells me what my data metrics are in nominal and percent ranges. Oh, man. Andrew, I missed you, man. He says, on another subject, Salmon are starting their epic 2020 run. Y'all should take a week off and head up to Arkansas and get you some. Oh, I love my live chat.
I hear they jump right out of the water straight into your net.
Man, don't tell me where the salmon are spawning somewhere I can go to spawn.
Yeah.
Oh snap!
Yeah, I missed spring break. I missed human spawning season.
Don't worry, Alex. There's somebody out there. There's somebody out there to spawn with.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's a river that's just right for you. All right, let's see here. Oh, by the way, thank you guys so much. 54 likes. We are above 4 on the like-o-meter. You guys are highly appreciated over there on YouTube. And of course, let's not neglect our D-Livians over here. Got to get the money flowing. Mancunian and one other subscribed to the channel today. Thanks for the subs over on D-Live, guys. Much appreciated. Let's do a bigger one than today.
Yeah.
Let's do 200. Let's do 200 lemons in this basket.
Mancunian's been sending me 15-minute long scalps in my DMs for gold.
Scalp gold to the upside. If I think the salmon are good in Arkansas, you should see how they flock in Capistrano. What? Alaska is Arkansas? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I meant. Alaska.
Start with A.
It starts with an A.
I read AK as Arkansas as well.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. I went to public school. Give me a break, guys. Richard Medding, thanks so much for the sub on YouTube, my friend. And Trevor Nichols as well. If I didn't mention that, I'm not sure if I did. Big winners over on D-Live today. And for once, Midwest Attempts not racking it down in the #1 place. Ricky Thompson, 71.1. Lemons, Rhino TD, 41. Solar MKD, 30. DePie Guy, 24. Dark, Rico, the man, the myth, the legend. Locking in 20 of them babies. Thanks, guys, so much for the support. Yeah, let's take a look at FOREX. Let's take a look at FOREX.
Anybody got that crypto.com credit card?
Nah, I should probably try and get that.
That's the one with the Monaco coin. You earn Monaco rewards.
Yeah, Alex always gives me crap because I say Monaco.
Oh, Jesus.
Monaco? Hey, man, y'all got any of that there, Monaco? Need to fill up my Bitrrex wallet. The Aussie yen is in a no trade situation, but certainly more bullish than bearish. Let's see if we can get price to move down to around 69.98 or around 70. See if we can get an entry there. Aussie Kiwi is going to be signaling for a short on today's daily close. So let's actually put that on the docket. Kurang, thanks so much for the sub over there on YouTube, my friend. The Aussie CAD just poised for a reversal baseline bounce. If you took that trade yesterday, you would have nailed a winner. Let's see, the CAD Swissy looking like a reversal baseline bounce to the upside here, actually. So this one actually looks good after a pullback. Swissy Yen is having a bit of a pullback after a nice run up. No exposure on this trade. Let's see here. The Euro Aussie's in a no trade situation. Want to see price above 167.82. Euro Canadian actually is looking pretty good today. We might be able to see some more forward momentum coming to the Euro Cat. So I'll put that one on the watch list. Euro Swissy having a nice push up. Euro Kiwi in a reversal baseline bounce situation. Euro Pound, nothing to do. No taking profits yet. Euro Yen, same thing. Euro Dollar, same thing. Pound Kiwi might be taking profits today. Not sure. Pound CAD in a profit-taking area for shorts. Nothing to do besides that. Pound Swissy flat. Pound Yen. Reversal baseline bounce to the short side. Pound Dollar flat. Pound Aussie should be in an active short. Kiwi Dollar got a better entry for a long if one wants to scale in. Same for the Aussie Dollar as well. The Kiwi CAD's in a no trade. Need to get some confirmation. The Kiwi Swissy's looking good for a potential trade to the upside here. The Kiwi Yen's in a do nothing situation. The Dollar Swissy, ooh, chop right back up to that that baseline, reversal baseline bounce opportunity. Dollar Yen bullish. Aussie Swissy, I wouldn't do anything with this. It's grinding up. The Dollar UN too is pretty volatile. I would do anything with this right now. Yeah, I really wouldn't touch this. I wouldn't trade into the fundamentals. Look at this thing over the past couple of weeks. This is just chopping like a sushi chef. Gold's going to be signaling for a continuation short. So I'll probably take profits on silver. Platinum and palladium both had a nice run up. I was salty about missing platinum, not so much about palladium, but we'll catch them if they decide to pull down. Platinum and palladium, I wouldn't do anything with them yet, but gold looks like it's ready for a short. And that means we'll probably take profit on silver as well. Cards just don't make sense to me when everyone has a smartphone. Yeah, I mean, they're just something cool to have, you know, like the Robinhood card, for example, right? I have the Robinhood account. I have the Robinhood card, you know, because I can't use my Robinhood app to buy things in store. Yeah, I mean, I get that you're right in the broadest sense, but you can't use your smartphone with an NFT for everything yet. But I typically use NFT to pay for most things. I
look forward to that as well.
Yeah.
I hope I can use my smartphone, Google, Android wallet, or what have you extensively in the future. But you're right. Right now, it is not totally practical to be able to NFT at every terminal.
Yeah. Like, for example, when I go to most gas stations in my area, I can do NFT. But if I go to local grocery stores, you got to have a card, man. But yeah, certainly. That's the way. That's the way everything's
This Monaco, this Crypto.com card's pretty nifty. I mean, today they announced they're expanding their services into Canada, so I'm think I'm gonna jump on this. But if you check out that link, you know, they've got like 5 or 6 tiers of cards. You get cash back, I think up to 5% cash back paid out in Monaco tokens. And on top of that, the card has got this snazzy composite metal design, right? No plastic here. Pretty fancy, but I really want that black one. But I don't know if you saw the, because, you know, in order to get these cards, you have to, like, I think, hold and stake some Monaco. And the black one requires 50,000 Monaco to be staked. And go ahead and do the math on that when Monaco's around $5 a pop right now.
I don't know. Look at that card, though, homie.
I mean, it looks fancy,
Obsidian.
but you want me to stake 250 grand worth of Monaco?
Come on, man. No, I really don't want you to do that. I want you to buy. I'd prefer you buy $250,000 worth of Bitcoin.
You know,
I mean,
yeah, I'd go for the jade. I'd go for the jade green. Maybe that royal indigo.
yeah, I like
they
those.
should make Obsidian black. Or, you know, I would totally buy the shit out of a card that was, that type of paint that's like impossible to see, has no reflectivity.
Yeah.
That would be a really awesome coin. I mean, it would be hard to find when you lose it, but man, oh man.
Yeah, you can get all right, so you get the blue one for free, and the blue one gets you, let's see here.
1% cash back, and it's not composite. It's a regular plastic card, but hey, it's free.
And if you stake 50, you get that ruby red. Get that 2% cash back, and you get a rebate on Spotify. You get everything free on Spotify. 500. That's cool. So basically, 500 Monaco, 2,500 bucks, a small investment, and it pays for my Netflix. I don't use Spotify.
Get a free Netflix. Well, Joe Rogan's doing the Spotify exclusively now. I'm sure everybody heard of that, right?
What's that? Joe Rogan?
Joe Rogan is leaving iTunes and YouTube and going to be exclusive with Spotify. I think they signed like the biggest podcasting deal in history. I think it's worth about $100 million. So, Joe Rogan just cashed out big time. I also heard he's looking to move to Texas. You hear about that?
That is, I mean, everybody wants to move out of California, so I fully support those.
Texas is where all the Californians seem to have been flocking to in recent years.
And that's a total switch, well, don't get me wrong, Austin's awesome. So there are some very liberal parts of Texas, but it's also, it's the Lone Star State, Yeah,
it's become a lot more liberal in the last few years. But, it goes to show you, right? The leftists ruin one state, and then they go on to the more conservative one to do it all over again.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Al.
Looking at y'all.
It's such a shame. We improve the economies everywhere we go. We increase.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Look at conservative economies in the U.S. and look at liberal economies in the U.S. and see which ones are doing better.
I'm just saying, look at the economy of Texas and look at the economy of California. Like, hold on.
The economy of California, you mean the sixth largest economy in the world versus Texas, which is...
Excuse me, leg store? Just, yeah, do you have anything for Alex to stand on? Okay, no? Sorry, man, they're all out.
Okay. Like, I understand why you're so salty living in Iowa when I live in the sixth largest economy in the world.
I'm not gonna lie, California is like, the stuff of dreams. If I could get over the rampant homelessness and all the other issues, I think I'd love to be down there.
If you were homeless in the U.S., would you want to come to California, where you're at least not gonna get well, I'll go into it.
Yeah. I think they call that they call that a positive feedback loop.
Yeah, that is probably true. Yeah. It's true for some reason, when you don't treat people like utter shit, they want to live in that area versus areas where you do get treated like utter shit.
It's also true that if you economically incentivize behavior, you propagate that behavior. LT says if California was doing so good and Texas was worse, why are they coming to Texas?
So that is actually a very good point.
Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Ooh, and come on, Bitcoin, give it to me.
So glad we hedged up for the fourth time yesterday.
Yeah, got it. Made up for it.
Yeah, nailed it. Finally nailed it.
Nailed it.
I'm reminded of I don't know if you've ever read anything about Dennis. I think Dennis Richards. I'm suddenly drawing a blank. The turtle trading people, but there's one story from the turtle traders of this guy. It's a very famous trend trading strategy, but it's got about an 80% loss rate, 20% hit rate, and then of the 20%, maybe 10%, half of the 20%, 10% are just utter bangers, and they kind of make your account for the year.
Yeah.
So there's a story of this one guy who corn kept moving, but it would move and then it would pull back. He tried to enter 20 times. And it was on the 21st time where he entered and he followed his system that the trend finally went the rest of the way. And he ended up making 100% of his account balance on that one trade eventually. But if he had stopped listening to his system, somewhere along the way of like all 20 times where he lost, And
Yeah.
he never would have actually made
Got
the money
there.
that the system promised. Yeah.
Yep, that is true. I mean, the markets trend less than 50% of the time, less than 40% of the time, honestly, and that's why position sizing and risk management keep you in the game. And what's kind of funny about being a trend following trader is, here's the thing, right? Trend following traders who follow systems are the most consistently profitable traders, like hands down. But we're not the sexiest traders, right? You got other traders that are drawing all these lines and catching all these bottoms and telling all these big tall tales on crypto Twitter, and they're all this and that, but they're generally not consistently profitable because they get wiped out at a very high frequency, or like they just get annihilated on like a couple trades, where that's impossible for us to happen. So we'll sit there and we'll be like, yeah, like I just lost the last like 8 trades in a row, but hey, trade 9, like I just increased my account equity 11%. It is what it is. It is what it is. So it's pretty good company to be in, right? All right. Having said that, guys,
I'm looking at your indicator there. Look at BitMEX funding turning positive there at the bottom.
At the bottom,
people still trying to buy that dip.
Yeah. Well, I think that indicates that we might actually now finally see somewhat of a local bottom. We're in nice proximity to this last untested point of control. We've had a huge move down. Finally, we're getting some aggressive buying coming in. Yeah, we might actually. We'll see. I have to keep our eye on this one. This candle just opened up, right? So it's possible that it'll repaint dramatically.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow, we broke below 9K.
I
think I really noticed the price.
Mr. Ether says, sounds like someone's Renko strategy. All right, guys. With that being said, I got a meeting here in about 10 minutes. I'm going to go get prepared for that. You guys have any final thoughts before we leave these wonderful people of crypto land?
I got nothing.
Nothing.
Trade safely, gentlemen.
Indeed.
Thanks for coming on, guys. I'll see you soon.
Have a good evening, guys.
Cheers.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Breaking Bitcoin Market Analysis, brought to you by the Cracking Cryptocurrency Premium Trading Group. If you're tired of sitting on the sidelines and you want to build your own optimized, verified, data-driven, and objective trading system, join our community. Start working today at premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com. Also, if you haven't subscribed, make sure to do that. Hit the bell icon and slap a like on today's video. Let us know you enjoy this content. You can also support us over on DLive or Twitch. And of course, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Oh no, it's over here. Boop. Where you can see content that you will not see anywhere else. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, and or sarcastic remarks, oh no, death threats too. Yeah. Hey, nail it 90% of the time. You got to let me whiff once in a while. You can leave any of those in the comment section down below. We'll do our best to get back to you as soon as possible. I generally respond to comments ASAP because now I have them on my mobile device. Listen, guys, overall prognosis, we're going to be seeing lower prices, right? We've had a pretty down movement today. I do think that we are going to be seeing, this is long term. I think we're going to be seeing a good bull run and not too long. So again, looking for strategic places to allocate back in and ease back into your Bitcoin position if you sold the top and you are playing these swings in the market. Otherwise, system trading. Trust your system, follow the trend. The trend has just broken bearish, really for the first time since we started running up, right? Following the March meltdown. So trade safely, objectively analyze. Don't listen to anybody else. Trust your system, not your gut. All right, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll be back at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time to wrap the week up and cover the news and the charts in tomorrow's Breaking Bitcoin Market Analysis. Until then, be awesome, treat each other with respect, and trade safely.